Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Immigrant Blueprint. My name is Attorney Ebony Anuforo. I am a U.S. immigration attorney, and I work with clients nationwide and globally on U.S. immigration matters. So, if you are a professional, whether you're educated, you're highly skilled running a business, or working in a specialized field, and you still feel uncertain about your immigration future, then today's discussion is for you. I regularly work with professionals who are doing everything right on paper and they have strong resumes, solid work experience, and meaningful contributions, and yet they're stuck. Not because they lack options, but because no one ever really walked them through the full range of immigration pathways that might actually fit their background. So today I want to talk about immigration pathways professionals often overlook, why these options are missed, and why immigration strategy matters just as much as your eligibility. Okay, so stay tuned for this discussion. So, why professionals often miss viable immigration options? So, most professionals receive immigration advice in very limited settings. It's usually from an employer's HR department, a coworker who went through the process before, or maybe a single consultation that focused only on one visa category. Now, the problem is that immigration law is not about what's most common or most convenient for an employer, right? Your immigration process should be about your entire profile. It should figure out, or you should have a strategy that fits into, how your entire profile works with immigration law. So when advice is limited to the employer sponsorship alone, professionals often lose years of waiting, remaining dependent on the company's decisions, or assuming that there's nothing else that they can do. In some cases, they often fall out of status because they didn't know another option existed. So immigration is not just about compliance, it's really about advocacy, and it's really about having a strong strategy. One of the most common overlooked options for professionals is the EB2 National Interest Waiver, which is often referred to as the NIW. Now, many people assume that this category is only for researchers with PhDs or individuals working on nationally recognized projects, and that's not accurate, right? The National Interest Waiver is more about impact and not about prestige. The question is whether your work has substantial merit and national importance, and whether it benefits the United States to waive the requirement for a permanent job offer. Now, professionals in healthcare, technology, education, business development, entrepreneurship, public policy, infrastructure, and emerging industries may all qualify for this immigration benefit. I've worked with clients whose work improved systems, expanded access to services, introduced innovation, or filled critical gaps in the U.S. economy. Another reason that professionals overlook this option is that they underestimate their own work, right? They assume that because they aren't famous or publicly recognized or visible, that they don't qualify. And in reality, a strong NIW case is built on your future impact, not just your past accomplishments, okay? So it's good to keep that in mind. And this is also a self-petition green card, meaning that you do not need an employer sponsorship. So that's alone makes this a very powerful option for professionals who want more control over their immigration future. Another pathway professionals often dismiss too quickly is the O1 visa, which is for individuals with extraordinary ability. There is a common misconception that extraordinary means celebrity status. And in immigration law, it does not. It means that you are above others in your field based on measurable evidence. So professionals who qualify could include engineers, data scientists, founders, executives, consultants, designers, academics, and creatives. Evidence can include leadership roles, high compensation compared to your peers, industry recognition, publications, speaking engagements, media mentions, or playing a critical role in an organization. You do not need to meet every criteria, What matters is how the evidence is presented and whether it tells a clear story about your professional standing. So for many professionals, the O1 is an excellent option either as a long-term status or as a strategic bridge while pursuing a green card. The L1 visa is another pathway that professionals frequently overlook, especially entrepreneurs and executives. If you've worked for a company outside of the United States for at least one continuous year within the last 3 years, and you held a managerial, executive, or specialized knowledge role, then you may qualify for the L1 visa. This applies even if the company is small or if it's a business that you helped start. I often see founders assume that they don't qualify because their company isn't large enough. And I just want to let you know that size isn't the determining factor. It's more about the nature of the role and the business operation that matters more. So the L1 can be a powerful option for professionals involved in international business or US expansion and can lead to a permanent residence down the line. So one of the most misunderstood and underutilized immigration options among professionals is VAWA, which stands for the Violence Against Women Act. VAWA allows certain spouses of U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents to self-petition for immigration benefits if they have experienced abuse. Now, abuse under immigration law is not limited to physical violence. It can include emotional abuse, psychological manipulation, financial control, and threats related to your immigration status. Professionals often do not see themselves reflected in conversations about VAWA, which leads them to assume that it doesn't apply. However, in reality, abuse does not discriminate based on your education, your income, or professional status. You do not need a police report to qualify, and you do not need to remain in the relationship. Evidence can include your personal statement, affidavit from witnesses, and professional evaluations. I represent professionals across many industries who never knew this protection existed until it was explained to them in detail. So the E2 Treaty Investor Visa is a strategic option for entrepreneurs. For professionals transitioning into entrepreneurship, the E2 Treaty Investor Visa is another commonly overlooked option. If you are a citizen of a treaty country and are investing in a U.S. business, the E2 visa may be available to you. There are no fixed minimal investment amounts for this visa. What matters is that the investment is substantial, related to the business that you're starting. Your investment is at risk and part of a real and active enterprise. This visa is often ideal for consultants, for coaches, for franchise owners, and founders who want to build and scale a business in the United States. Why professionals get stuck and how strategy changes outcomes. So professionals tend to trust systems. They assume that if an option exists, someone will tell them about it. Unfortunately, that's not how immigration law works. Many professionals, they get stuck because they solely rely on employer guidance. They don't seek second opinions, or they assume that high education or income automatically limits their options. Immigration success is rarely about luck. It's about understanding your full profile and choosing the right legal pathway based on strategy, timing, and your long-term goals. So if you are a professional and you've been told that you have to wait, or that your employer controls your future, or that you don't have any other options, I encourage you to take a closer look. Your background, your experience, and your long-term goals do matter, and there are many more pathways available to you than you realize. If you found this discussion very helpful, then I'd like for you to please like, subscribe, and share with someone who might benefit from this information. And if you want to schedule a one-on-one strategy-focused review of your immigration options, you can reach out to me. I'm an immigration attorney who represents clients in all 50 states and around the world globally regarding U.S. immigration law. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.